You know how crazy life is, right? It feels like we're always connected, always on the move. So where do you find a real moment of peace? Well, it's tough. But for centuries, there's been a practice designed for exactly that, creating a space just for quiet contemplation. Today, we're going to explore the absolutely beautiful and serene world of the Japanese Zen garden.
Right. This quote pretty much nails it. A Zen garden isn't just about making your yard look nice. Nope. It's a tool, a way to help you free your mind, dial down the stress, and bring this incredible feeling of calm right to your doorstep.
So here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. First up, we'll get into what a Zen garden actually is. Then, we'll break down the core ideas and the materials you'll need. After that, we're going to get hands-on and talk about how you can create your own space. And to wrap it all up, we'll help you figure out if this is the right kind of project for you. Okay, let's start at the very beginning. Because to really get what these gardens are all about, we got to look at where they came from and what their purpose has always been. Trust me, this is so much more than just some rocks and sand. It's a whole philosophy that's been around for centuries. That's right. These gardens have some seriously ancient roots. They were first designed by Zen Buddhist monks as places for deep thought and meditation. The whole process, creating it, taking care of it, that was the meditation. It was a practice to focus the mind.
So the proper Japanese term is kara-sansoi, which literally translates to dry landscape. And that name is perfect because it gets right to the heart of the concept. It's a miniature, symbolic version of nature. The rocks, they're not just rocks. They're meant to be massive mountains or distant islands. And the sand that's so carefully raked, well, that represents water, the ocean, a river, a lake. You get the idea. You know, one of the best ways to understand what something is to understand what it isn't. And this chart does a great job of that. You've got your Tukiyama, or hill garden, which is designed for you to walk through. Then there's the Chaniwa, the tea garden, which has a very specific purpose. But our garden, the Karasansui, it's different. It's meant to be looked at from a distance. It's all about inspiring that mindfulness without you ever having to take a single step inside it. All right, so now that we've got the what and the why, let's get into the how. This part is all about the philosophy that drives the design and the actual physical materials that you use to bring that philosophy to life. Now, you might have heard that there are 7 guiding principles in Zen design, and there are. But really, they all point to one main idea, trying to capture the feeling of a natural landscape. It's not about creating perfect, man-made symmetry. It's about finding an organic, kind of imperfect balance, just like you'd find in nature. And this right here is such a key difference. A lot of Western design, think formal gardens, loves symmetry and even numbers. But Japanese Zen design completely flips that. It's all about asymmetry and odd numbers. Why? Well, think about it. When do you ever see things in nature that are perfectly symmetrical? By grouping rocks in 3s or 5s, you create something that feels way more organic and, honestly, more visually interesting. These are the absolute essentials, the building blocks, the stones and rocks. They're like the skeleton of your garden, giving it structure. Gravel and pebbles add some nice texture and variety. The sand is your canvas, where you rake those patterns to create a sense of flow and energy. And moss? Moss is amazing. It gives everything that beautiful, ancient feeling, and it even helps quiet the space by absorbing sound. Okay, so while a super traditional Karasansui garden is mostly just hardscape, you can definitely bring in some plants. You just have to be thoughtful about it. A Japanese maple adds so much grace. A cherry tree, or sakura, is a beautiful reminder that life is fleeting. Bonsai, of course, represents patience. And bamboo is great for privacy. But a quick pro tip, make absolutely sure you get a non-invasive kind or just keep it in a container. All right, here comes the really fun part, putting it all together. This section is all about the practical, step-by-step process of building your very own Zen garden, your own little sanctuary. And I promise it's way more doable than you might think. We can really just break it down into these 5 simple steps. First, you find the perfect spot. Then you go get all your materials. The really creative part is next, placing your big stones. After that, you'll add the sand or gravel. And finally, you get to make it your own. And this is so important to remember. You do not need a giant backyard for this. A Zen garden can be a tiny corner, a spot on your balcony, or even a miniature one in a bowl on your desk. The most important thing is to put it somewhere you can see it easily, so it can actually become part of your daily life. This is where you really get to put your own stamp on it. Maybe you add a small statue that means something to you, or some wind chimes. It's a good idea to stick with a muted color palette, grays, greens, browns, to keep that calm vibe.
And soft lighting, a classic stone lantern can make the space feel absolutely magical at night.
So, before you run out and grab a shovel, let's just talk through a few practical things. In this last section, we'll think about what you want to use the garden for, what it might cost, and what it takes to look after it.
This is probably the number one most important question to ask yourself right at the start. Is this garden going to be purely for looking at from a distance, like the traditional ones? Or do you see yourself actually sitting in it, maybe with a small bench? Your answer is going to shape the whole design. Here's the cool part. The maintenance is actually part of the whole Zen experience. Raking the sand isn't a chore, it's a meditative act that helps calm your mind. The other stuff is pretty simple, just clearing away leaves, maybe giving the moss a light spray of water when it's dry, and pulling any weeds that pop up. It's all about keeping that clean, simple look. And listen, you do not have to break the bank to create this space. Seriously, take a look around your own yard first. You might already have some great rocks you can use. Sourcing your sand and gravel from a local place will save a ton. And buying smaller plants is not only cheaper, but they often adapt better anyway. And that's really the main takeaway here. It's all about less is more. The real power of this style comes from its minimalism, from how intentional every single piece is. A simple, thoughtfully designed space can have a huge positive impact on your daily life. It can really become your sanctuary. So, as we wrap this up, I'm just going to leave you with this one thought. Actually creating the garden, that's just the first step. The real journey begins when you sit with it, when you quiet your mind, and just look. What answers, what peace, what new ideas might be waiting for you in that stillness?